Hello everybody, hello. Okay, so I'm going to try and make this a quite quick video because even though I was trying to get my little one to sleep, she is not asleep, she's still in the other room, so I've sent her across with Granny for 10-15 minutes while I do a quick video for you because I can't get her to sleep. She doesn't go down very well for me, and Daddy's away tonight at the ploughing competition, ploughing championships with my son for his first ever away trip. So anyway, so I'm going to crack on, and I'm going to be using, so I'm just going to stand up while I do this so you can see his bits properly, but I'm going to be using the Sweetest Christmas Sweet, which is in this winter sort of annual catalogue. There is a set of candy canes. Let me just find it. Sorry, I'm not as organised as to have these pages marked already. There is a set of candy cane dies as well as the Christmas banner ones that match all the stamps as well. And there we are, sorry. So there is the Christmas banner stamp set, which is one of the stamp sets that I'm using. And that's the candy cane stamp set. Well, I don't have that. I only have some of the papers. So I'm really limited to supplies as well, because obviously until Stampin' Up launch in a couple of weeks' time, or less than 2 weeks' time, I can't sign up either and get all my supplies. So I'm working on very, very limited supplies. So I thought what I would do is I'd just do a couple of Christmas cards with that set that I've got, the stamp set and the papers, and you can see a bit of it over here. And one of these, I have marked these pages. One of the things that Stampin' Up does in the catalogues is they do what they call a step it up thing, and they do normally there's at least a few in the catalogue of each one, and that's an example there. So that step it up one, the clock just indicates it's a quickish card to make. So that's kind of what you'd call maybe your basic kind of card. I'll bring that up to here. So there's a card there, it's got some stamping in the background on a punch, that is actually not a die cut, a punch and a stamp on the front. To step it up, you can also do the same kind of card but add a bit of extra, that's kind of banner type shaped cards, or you could put ribbon there or something, and the enamel dots or the glossy dots, that kind of thing on there. And then to step it up even more, so these cards will be more time consuming to do, they're individual die cut from the stamp set in the background first, and then they've also done some shading on the stamp in the middle, so it's on a couple of different colours. And then just one more quick example, see if I've got one here. There is another example there. So again, the time symbol or clock symbol indicates a quickish card to make. So there's just a stamp on a plain white card base there, a sentiment, an image, and a bit of colouring in, and there you can step it up there by adding some background patterned paper and putting the sentiment on a kind of a banner strip there. There's also some of those star or flower shapes, sorry, on the flowers. And there's another one that it's been done as a tag, but you could, hi Monica, you could do that as a card obviously as well. It's just showing you another way to use those. So that's what Stampin' Up's really good for that. Okay, so I'm just going to sit down here now and hope that you can see what I'm kind of up to. But so using the very limited supplies I have, I put together some cards, and I've already pre-cut all the bits and pieces in the main, because I didn't want you to sit there and having to watch me cut out everything. It's a bit boring. So I got the piece of, so this is part of the Sweetest Christmas designer paper. One side it's the kind of striped design with the red and green. The other side it's printed with candy canes. And because I didn't have the stamp set, what I've done is I've just cut out some of the canes, as you can see. And you only need, I mean, I haven't even used a full sheet. You only need a small bit really to be able to cut some of those out. So I've cut out a few. And for my kind of quick basic card, what I've done, you could just do it as a one layer. You could actually do some stamping, just put a sentiment on or something like that. But I've used some of the Christmas banner stamps, which one is like kind of a spruce. I'll see if you can see that. It's kind of a spruce leaf, and the other one's like mistletoe. I only have very limited inks as well. So the only green I have at the moment is Evening Evergreen, which is part of the last year's set of ink colours. And that looks really good with this green anyway, so luckily enough. What I've done is I've just literally gone around and stamped a few of those in there, and I've also then stamped Merry Christmas at the bottom out of that same stamp set. And then what I've done is I've cut out a couple of the candy canes, and obviously because the paper's double-sided, technically you could use the reverse as well, but the candy canes are coloured and sort of striped in one way or another. So I've got another couple here, so we've got those ones. And we've got those ones, and like I said, you can turn them over and they're stripy as well, so you could use them either side. So what I'll do is I'll put these two together here, and all I'm going to do now, I could stick them down flat like that, but I'm going to use dimensionals because I think it just makes it look nice. And all I'm going to do here is going to stick a couple of dimensionals on those candy canes. They just fit nicely along the kind of the width of those. And I'll just get the backs taken off ready as well. Okay, and I'm going to pop one down across here. Okay, and I didn't like measure or do anything with those stamps in the background, just kind of place them kind of visually on there, and then put another couple of ones on there, and I think I can get one on the bottom there. Okay, so I'll take those backs off there. Now if you've got a pokey tool or something there, really handy as well to be able to take these backs off, but they're actually easy to get off on the dimensionals, and I'm just going to pop him across there. So now I've kind of got a background with some leaves with a mistletoe and spruce. So now anything in those kind of sets with florals or leaves or anything like that is really versatile. So it doesn't even have to be Christmas. There's loads of different uses you could use those for, especially the spruce. It could be any kind of nature type things. And then I've got my ribbon. I've pre-tied this one. I've got one to tie in front of you, but I knew I'd get butterfingers doing it live and doing it quickly. Hi Ola. Oh, you missed the start. Oh, look, I'm glad you got your catalogue. Yeah, so the start was me just telling everybody that my daughter is not yet asleep. She's with her granny in the next room. So if she starts playing up, she may come through. So I'm just going to try and do this as quick as I can. So this is, I've just put a glue dot, I'll put a second one there actually, on this ribbon at the background there. And I've just done a double bow, so it's got 2 loops either side. I'm going to pop that onto here. There we go. Okay, so that is card number 1. It's got some stamping on the background, it's got some cutout of the candy canes, a ribbon on it and a sentiment on it. So with very, very limited resources, you can really do something nice. And then I've got my, what I would say is a slightly stepped up version. So this time I'm still using the green card, but I've got a background paper. And for this, I'm going to use, just for speed, I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal here. So I'm just going to run that along. I'm just going to turn it around here, run that along, turn it around here, and there we go. Okay, so I'm going to put down my background. Now, I'm not a great one for measuring and doing all the kind of exact measurements all the way around, so I kind of eyeball it, but that looks okay to me. Then I've got some candy canes again, so let's have a look. I think I have to turn one of these around to get the right shape. Let's have a look. Oh no, there we go. Right, so we've got 2 there. For the candy canes. So what I'll do is, again, I'm just going to stick some dimensionals on these. I'll try and do it quite quickly. Okay, and then there. So I haven't had to do the stamping on this because I've used to use the background of the paper, but we'll get this. Just going to give us a bit of an extra sort of dimension really on the card. I actually really like the stamping on the first one. I love colour on colour stamping, so the green stamping on green card, it's really effective, and that goes for any of the ones, any of the colour inks on the different card. So I put my candy canes across like that. Okay, so they're now raised off the card because they've got the dimensionals under there. And then I've got my ribbon, again pre-tied just for speed for this video. And I'm going to pop, let's look, see which way it looks better that way. I'm going to pop my little glue dots. I'm going to use a couple. So the glue dots are really handy because you just stick them on the roll and they come straight onto the project. And glue dots are good for ribbon and fabric. I'm going to pop them in the middle of the canes there. And then I've stamped the sentiment onto a banner this time. So I've done a banner and put the sentiment in the middle. And I'm going to stamp, for the last card, I'm going to stamp that just live so you can see why the clear stamps are a really good idea for that. That banner then will sit at the bottom there, just proud. So those elements are proud. So that's the next card there. So really quick again. Measurement wise, I never really stick to really measurements on there, but I love doing these A5 size cards because the reason is that you can buy the pack of envelopes. Stampin' Up do vanilla and basic, like a white, and the paper's really lovely and smooth. really nice envelopes, and these kind of size cards all fit into those. They're also great for posting, and they're just nice without being too big, and especially if you're batch making them, you can obviously get more out of your cardstock because it uses exactly an A4 sheet cut in half. So measurement wise, you cut up the at 14.8 across the card, that's exactly half, and then 10.5 becomes your folded up width. So I always chop a piece of paper 13.8 and 9.5, I'm talking centimetres obviously, and that gives you just an even border around the edge. So there we go, that's card number 2. And card number 3, what I've done for this one is I've gone with a white card underneath, okay, and then I've chosen some more patterned paper there. So I'll just get my snail out again, oh, sorry, my stamping seal I should say, and I'm going to run this along. So this is really quick. I also like using the liquid glue, you've probably heard me about that, but just for speed for this demo I'm going to use this. There we go. I'm a little bit off with the centre measurements with that, but I'm conscious that my daughter, I can hear her in the other room, and I don't want her to come a-wandering, okay. So for this one then, what I've done is I've cut a section of red card and a section of vellum. Okay, so I'm going to use the dimensionals on the back of the red, and I hand cut this freehand because I don't have, so at the moment I don't have really any punches. I don't have a die cut, the stamping cut and emboss machine for the die cutting and embossing, so I can't do any of that at the moment to show you. So this is, like I said, really limited supplies. So I'm just trying to think of what ways I can do it. So I free cut this, so it might not be exactly even, but you'll get the idea. There we go, so I'm going to put that about centre there, so that becomes a banner down the page. I have my vellum, and I'm going to pop this, I actually might do this with glue dots, I'm going to pop this across, and I'm going to try and hide the glue dots with what I know is going underneath it. So I'm putting a glue dot on the vellum across the top there, just very close to that top edge. Okay, and then I think I'll just put one in the middle there. I'll put it there where the candy canes are going to go. Okay, so then I'm going to pop this on top of the cardstock there, so you can just see the little glue dots underneath, but that's okay because they're going to get hidden. Okay, and then I found, this was in a stash I had from ages ago, some of the copper metallic card, so I just cut a couple of little strips of that here. So I've got one strip here and a little strip. And I'm gonna glue dot that just to make it simple for tonight, because they do stick really well. So I'm glue dotting that across. And for this one, I'm just going to pop it across the top, and I just literally hand cut it to match. Oh, I need to move it up a little bit, sorry, to match up there. I'm also not trying to bend forward so you can see my head. So hi Kathy as well. Hi, nice to see you. So that's got there, I don't know if you can see that, it's a really nice metallic. And because I'm not bending forward like I would do over my normal projects, I'm doing it at an angle here. So hopefully it's just about centered. This time I'm only going to use one candy cane because I thought the other two are all kind of both similar with them crossing over. So I'm just going to use one. Okay, and you could stamp, I did have a think about stamping on the vellum as well, and stamping some of those kind of mistletoe and fir pieces, or like the spruce pieces, which would look really nice, but when you stamp on vellum, it takes ages and ages to dry. So if you're going to do that, the best thing you could do is get one of those heat guns and use a heat gun to set it or dry it, or even put embossing powder over the top of it. If you're going to stamp like clear embossing powder and just heat it, so it'll heat set it and make sure it's dry, because otherwise you could come up to it ages later, just touch it and it'll smear on the vellum. It just seems to not dry for a long time. So what I've got here is I've got the stamp set on my Stampin' Up block here, Memento ink, and I'm just going to tap that. And so this is one of the clear sets, the photopolymer sets, and the reason that's really good is because you can see through it. So when you're doing something like this, and again, I'm not leaning forward, so hopefully I'm going to get this right. There, you can stamp down, lift off, and it's placed exactly where you want to place it. So if that was red rubber, you just wouldn't see exactly where the sentiment was. It would be that bit harder. So for the photopolymer stamps, in general, things like this where there is like banners and greetings or sentiments, they would tend to be in the photopolymer because of that reason. And then what I'm going to do here is I am going to set on some more dimensionals just on here. Okay, and this is, the only thing about these dimensionals, they're great, but you do have to make sure you clear out all the little bits of paper afterwards. Or not, and just find them all over the floor, same as you do with glitter kind of things. So I'm just going to pop that across. So I hand cut that so it fit just the width of that there. And then lastly, I put just a couple more on this banner. Okay, and then I'll put the banner on the metallic copper there. Okay, so I think that's quite festive, like that. There we go so far. And then I'm going to put a ribbon. So, okay, I'm tying this live, so forgive me if it goes wrong. But I'm just going to go round and round twice around my fingers, pull it underneath, over the front, and then sort of flip it and tie it. I'm trying to do this, everybody watching. Here we go. Don't let it go. And then just pull it there. And that's just about right. I'm just going to try and pull it to make sure it's nice and tight there. And then once you've got that, you can sort of just ruffle it so you can get the double bow. I tend to do 2 rather than 1, just with the, if it's really thick ribbon, you wouldn't really do that. But you can even go more. You can even do triples and more as well. Now, I don't have a pair of scissors handy. That's a big crafting fault, isn't it? But I am going to stick this ribbon on my candy cane, like there. So what I'll do is I'll stick it down and I'll run and get a pair of scissors and trim it afterwards so I can show you what it looks like. So I've got my glue dot on my ribbon there, and I'm going to pop that on my candy cane. And then lastly, I've just got these champagne rhinestone jewels. So I'm just going to pop a couple off, and I'm going to pop a couple along on the top here of this copper coloured banner. Okay, and now I should line these up properly really, but I'm just going to put them down free for now, and she'll get the idea anyway. And again, if you had a pokey tool, it'd be really great to use that to help you place them. Okay, so I'm going to leave those on there. And then I think I'll just put a couple of smaller ones actually on the project as well on there, because I think they just add a little bit of extra sparkle. I'll put one across here. I've got one down here. And put one on there. Okay, so there, once I get that ribbon chopped there, that's another card, and it's just got a few more layers on it. So it's just kind of beefed up a little bit basically. And that's what, when they're in the catalogue, when they're like that, that's what it's showing you. So doesn't mean anything's better than anything else. Doesn't mean the basic one's not as good as the timed one. If you're wanting to batch make cards and make a lot of the same design, obviously the simpler and the quicker, it's going to save time for you. If you want to do a quick card because you've forgotten something to do and you want a quick one before you run out the door somewhere, obviously again a quick card would be handy for that. But if you want to do a really special one and kind of add in some extra details, that would be the way you would step it up. So there's the 3 cards. I'll just move that before I stick my hand straight in it. As you can see earlier on when I was just doing the stamping, I've already got ink everywhere. And I always have that. So that's the 3 different cards there. So the first one is a simple stamping on the card and just a couple of cut elements. The second one has the extra layer of paper and the sentiment put on the banner, and the third one there, I will trim that ribbon, but it's just got a few extra bits and a bit of bling on there as well. So that's it really. I just want to say thank you for watching and thank you for bearing with me. Thank you to Rebecca, my daughter, who hasn't come in screeching and crying. So well done, Granny, as well, for taking care of her for the last however long I've been on the video. I did say I'd try and be quick. And I'll be back again soon with some more things. And obviously the more, once I've signed up and got my demonstrator status and I managed to get some of the products in my hand, I'll be able to do some more projects as well. I have got a couple of other things I can do just before then. So I'll see you soon. Thank you very much then, and bye-bye.